Hey everybody, welcome to Maine Wedding Buzz. Today we have rentals and nothing but rentals today, so I'm really excited to start talking about this. We have Mark from A+ Rental right in Scarborough, and we're going to talk about everything you see on the table. So hope you enjoy what we're bringing you today. Hey Mark, welcome. Thank you for coming to the show.
Thanks for inviting me.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
This would be my 20th year in the rental business. Me and my wife started 20 years ago, and my dad was in a manufacturing business, so we'd go to the rental shows, the American Rental Association shows, and a couple young couples, when we'd go to the show, would always say, hey, why don't you buy some equipment and start renting? So then I talked to my wife, and that's how I ended up starting into the rental world. I said, well, we bought 2 canopies, tables and chairs, and started running around putting up a canopy.
Nice, nice. And so I see you brought a lot of things for us to look at, which I love seeing a lot of these things. You have the Chiavari chairs in white.
Yes.
And you have the Chiavari chairs in a mahogany.
And also gold.
We're
ordering gold now.
Oh, wow. And so the Chiavari chair is a beautiful chair. Gold is actually how Chiavari actually started. Almost, I think 1920, I think they were introduced around that period. Old Hollywood, very vintage, very cool. But they really go with anything. And Mark's going to talk a little bit about these tables that he's created, which I want to hear all about.
Well, the barn tables are real popular right now, so we decided to do a trussel table, which is an old farm table also. And we've been manufacturing regular tables. We've made 575 tables, so we decided, well, let's get creative and do a trussel table. Basically, we buy the wood and we do real woodworking. We biscuit the whole table.
Oh, wow.
And then we clamp it, and usually clamp it, you got to leave it overnight, and then the next day we'll start building the underneath. And then we end up, making the legs and putting the whole thing together. I made it KD, which most tables aren't designed, but we had to design it so we could load it in trucks. So we have a whole little system where we can take it apart and then put it together right on site for the customer under a tent or in a barn. And so that's how we...
And these are beautiful. These can sit 10?
You could sit 10 because the table's 40 inches wide by 8 feet. So you could put one person on each end. So
you have a table of 10 right here, and actually if you put them up together and you did 3 of these farmer tables, you could do 32 to a table.
Correct.
And so that would give you that Tuscan style feel that you'd like. And so he also has a lot of china on here from these beautiful square plates, which are very modern, I would say, in a look that you want. You also have the coupe, you have a basket weave, gold, which is really popular right now, with the Marcella from Pantone Color of the Year, choosing those things to accent your table. You have also family style. You want to tell us a little bit about these?
We started building inventory on, because the farm table and the whole look has been that way for last, so we end up buying 50 bowls, and then we bought big white platters and everything else for that whole family look in placements.
And so which really works well. If you're looking at this table, the farmer table right here, you're seeing how these bowls are placed. So if you have servers coming in, you can actually place them in where you have your centerpiece down, so they fit very well. And I'm assuming that the long platters are like for meat or fish or anything like that, so you have a lot of those. So those are really good. And you have your coffee cups as well. Sometimes it's better to put the coffee cup, in my opinion, on a station as opposed to the table, because it gives you a little bit more room on the table. But everybody, likes to set up differently, so that is okay still. You don't have to follow those rules, but you can put those on stations. So how many relationships with venues and locations and caterers do you have throughout the state?
Oh boy. Well, I got a whole list of venues on my website, because a lot of times people recommend me, so I say, look, with the web and everything, you want to be interconnected. So, oh gosh, I go down south in Kennebunk and I go up north too. It's really, I develop relationships with people that have barns and that, and then I recommend them and they recommend me, and we end up just working together.
So it's cross-marketing the company. And I also wanted to point out these chairs that are back here, which are your garden chairs.
Right.
And you have this in a natural wood, which, if you could see, actually pairs really well with this table. And you also have the white, which are in front as well, but the white garden chairs, which are really nice too. And these can work well with ceremony. So you can use these for the ceremony and bring in the Chiavaris for the dinner part of it.
And what we did too on this chair, we have sailcloth tents, and so when we do a sailcloth tent, so all our side poles and center poles, we've actually matched the stain of the side poles and the center poles with its natural chairs. So, because the sailcloth is the whole nautical look, and so we thought, well, let's use this chair with it, and that's how we came up with the colors.
And the sailcloth tent is the ones that peek up for
They
our
peek
audience.
up, and they're translucent tents, so they're a little brighter, but they don't have a valance like other tents do.
And how many tents do you have in your
Oh,
arsenal
boy.
of rental?
Well, I mean, we own 940 100s, say, and then we own 30 wides, and then we own three sailcloth tents. So for a weekend, I mean, we can put out, usually it's between 15 and 21 tents of events a week.
Incredible. And that's from setup to breakdown, so you're working all weekend, breaking them down by Sunday and getting them ready for the following weekend.
Yep, most of me, our schedule starts on Wednesday morning. My guys have to have everything down by Tuesday, and then Wednesday morning we're setting up, set up, and then by Friday at the end of the day, we have to have everything
that's
done.
incredible.
It's a push.
What's the largest event you've done in the state?
The largest event I done was University of New England's graduation. We sat 4,500 people.
Oh, wow.
We own an 80 wide and 80 by 240 foot tent. We also did two 40-hundreds, 40-80, and a 40-60 for that event. And we had AV tech. We had all, cameras everywhere, and it was really an exciting event. I mean, that was the whole week.
A lot of moving parts.
Yeah. Yep.
And with all your chairs out.
Yeah,
sort of gets
I mean,
everything out.
we were doing USM's graduation at the same time, so we had 3,500 chairs over there, a huge stage, and it was an intense week.
Any funny stories that you have for?
Well, I was thinking of something when we first started. I mean, always when you first start, you don't have much money, but you're always trying to. And so I bought a trailer, and we used to deliver in this trailer. And then Grossman's went out of business, if you remember Grossman's. But we bought all these aluminum studs, and so when I came to a site, it was called the cage. My wife called it the gorilla cage. But the thing would shake, but we'd get there. And then we upgraded and went to an auction, and we bought a truck from Humpty Dumpty. But then when we get to a site, it would backfire. Kaboom! We're like, oh God, A+ is here.
What's the craziest thing that someone has asked you to rent, let's say, or the craziest thing that you go, well, let me see about that?
Well, I had someone call once and ask if we rented coffins, so
that's crazy. So that's not a party, maybe a party for one. Do you have a showroom that people can visit?
We do. We have a small room downstairs when people come in, but we made a showroom upstairs. And we took an office, because a lot of times people want to see what a table looks with the chairs. And so upstairs we can put a few tables, and it gives you the sense of 20 feet, which is half of a tent, and then they get the spatial look
of what it's going to look
like.
What
it'll look like, yeah.
And like I tell everybody, when you're doing setup, when you take a chair, and hopefully you can see this, you're giving enough room because you never tuck your chairs into a table. They're always left so the tablecloth dangles in front of the seat, never tucked in. It's one of my pet peeves. And so when the guest actually comes in, they will move the chairs in, allowing your server space to walk. So keep that in mind when you're setting a table. Two, don't have your caterer or event designer tuck them in, because visually they're going to look really terrible for photos. Always out and around the perimeter. In my experience, after 26 years, you can take a 60-inch round table. I know a lot of people like to put 8 to the table, but they do hold 10. It's just the way you actually place, and you can fully set a table with 10, just the way you set the chairs. And so keep that in mind too, because that also helps with giving you more footprint in a tent. So if you want more space, 10 to a table, and it also gets the people up and moving as opposed to in their seats. 8 to 9 keeps people sitting in their seats and not dancing, and you're also paying for a band, so keep that in mind. What are the hours of your showroom?
Showroom 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and then on weekends we do it by appointment.
Okay.
We find it easier, so I can just make an appointment with a bride and sit down and talk. No interruptions, which is nice on weekends.
Nice. And let's talk about linens. And do you carry linens? These are napkins, by the way, not linens. Yep. But what colors, and can they have anything that they require?
Well, the rental industry has changed now. I mean, the manufacturing industry has changed where they also have rental divisions. So the company that we buy our linens from also has a rental division. So we can get any color because the manufacturer, we can sub-rent it from right to manufacturer. But I do stock some colors. I stock navy blue, royal, red, black.
And this feels like cotton, not polyester. Is this
it's
polycotton. So
polycotton.
So nice. And one of the things too with polyester, a lot of women put lipstick. And so when you wipe your mouth, lipstick stains don't come out of cotton as well as they do from polyester. Is that correct?
Yep.
And so that's one of the reasons why you see a lot of rental companies that do go to polyester. It's not because they want a cheaper material. It's because it washes and launders better than cotton. And where cotton, you might have to throw it out if it's got a lot of lipstick on it, so it's not reusable. So keep that in mind too. How long have you been in Maine? I mean, did you grow up in Maine?
Didn't grow up in Maine. Kind of moved around. My dad was an engineer, so he kept getting different offers. And so at one point we were in New York, and then my dad decided, I want to come back to Maine. I grew up in Maine. My mom grew up in Maine. So he made the plunge and came back. And he started a manufacturing, and we made gazebos, arches, folding screens, and we would sell the rental industry.
Oh, wow.
And so I would go to rental shows growing up. And so
you did ARA in
Yep.
I think it's in Vegas this year. Oh, no,
No,
New
it's
Orleans.
in New Orleans this year. Yep. Oh, yeah. We did them all the locations. And
Oh, nice.
My dad did that for 37 years. And so, like I said earlier, I said that's how I got into it. And then it just kind of grew. Within 3 years after I started just with a couple canopies, I told my dad I'm going on my own.
Wow.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah.
It's sort of like my story. I went out on my own too. Sometimes you go, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
So for me, I think it's important to know this because, as a caterer, I said, what kind of kitchen equipment do you have for us? I mean, because there are a lot of locations out there that don't have kitchens, and, you have to bring in a kitchen, like Ocean Gateway, the Portland Company, Granite Ridge, William Allen Farm. It's not a new thing. This has been around since the rental companies started and catering started. At locations, Wolfneck Farm, all that has to be brought in, so that needs a prep tent and kitchen equipment. Can you tell us a little bit about that stuff?
Yep, I do have, like you say, you do like a 20/20 and you're building a whole kitchen for the caterer. And so we have convection ovens, we have regular ovens, we have 6-burner tops, which is just the top of the stove. And then we also have the heat transports, I got friolators. I'm going to invest in another convection oven this year.
And you have the one that I like, which is the stand-up convection oven that opens up at the doors. I think that holds, which I'm excited, it holds 10 hotel pans, which is very important to have with the warming cabinet. So with a warming cabinet and that convection oven and 3 8-foot tables, your caterer should be able to do an event for 250 people. Trust me on that.
Right.
So.
And then a couple microwave convection ovens, small ones, and one large one that are electric. So I keep building in that area because I find that the caterers need it. And a lot of locations do not have kitchens.
Yeah.
And so you have to build the kitchen, and it works really good with the tenting.
Awesome. Do you see anything new in the industry, that's coming into the world for the kitchen part of it? Because I know that if you're going down to the convention in New Orleans, is that something that you're going to be looking at? Because a lot of us don't invest in that kind of equipment because it is very heavy to transport. So that's one of the reasons why a lot of caterers don't invest in that.
Yeah, because not right now, but I'm going to go down there to look and see what's new and what's happening because...
Hint, anything electric.
Anything electric.
Ocean Gateway and Portland Cup, you can't cook
Right.
unless it plugs in. So
Yep.
that's a hint on our end.
Okay.
Are there any pieces that are specialty equipments that you say, hey, we have this particular piece that nobody else has?
I would say that we have a trestle table right now.
Which is
everyone
true.
else has barn
Legs.
tables with legs in the corner. So this would be one thing right now that we just designed.
What I like about having the legs where they're at is that if you're here, the person sitting at this table right here, or this end of the seat, is not hitting their leg
Correct.
on the table.
That's
I
why we
love
did
the
it.
fact that it's open. It's almost like a dining room table at your home where you're not hitting the bottom of the table. So it's complete freedom for your legs. And if you've ever been to a wedding and you hit your leg, you shake the whole table and centerpieces rock. So you don't want that. As far as advice for clients, how do they call? How do they do reservations with you? What's the best way to say, I'm going to hold the Chiavari chairs, or I'm going to hold the garden chairs, or I want these bowls? Do you a month ahead of time before the wedding, 2 months?
Oh, I would say with weddings, I'd go 3 months at least. You want to book. you want to get once you book with us, then it's locked in. We don't penalize people for changing their counts and that. But so I mean, we always say start with your high count and then we'll go down, and then you're safe because. You know, I mean, I own almost 900 dishes, but
wow.
you know, on that style there. But there's weekends last year that I'm saying, call, order more. You know? And so it's better to order early, book your high count with us, and then we go down. You know, and then 2 weeks before we like to see what your numbers are on your RSVPs, and then we can get closer.
You can quote down and adjust accordingly.
Exactly.
Now, do you require a deposit from clients?
We do.
How does that work? Or that's on a case by case basis?
No, usually we take about 25% down
Okay.
on a wedding ticket, and then they can pay the week before, or if they're paying with credit card, they can pay the day we deliver. Either way on that.
Awesome. Now I know how it works for our industry. I mean, we do. January, February, March, April, I'm working for 2016 because I'm already booked for 2015. And so anything that might come in might be open Friday or open Sunday, but pretty much I'm gone. I think I have 3 Saturdays in December open. Do you work the same way where right now you're working for 2016?
We are putting quotes out for 2016, but I'm still getting quotes for this year too. So, and I still have availability with tents this year. I mean, I own a lot of tents, so. But yeah, we have been putting quotes out for 2016, but I find that November and December, and then January, February, March, that's when I get a lot of bookings on the tents for this year.
Got
and
it.
then the people that are the early planners, we'll get those, and we'll put out a few quotes for them.
Perfect. And do you do a lot of advertising? Because now, with Pinterest so flashing backwards 26 years ago, people didn't have the internet, and it wasn't this thing. I mean, when I had girls come to the office, they'd have a little book and pictures cut out, and that was their wish list. Now everything's on the computer. Do you do Pinterest, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all of those things?
I'm still a little back there. I'm over 50 people.
Trust me, I know.
It's tough to keep up. I mean, I do to hire young people to come in and help me because it's so hard to keep up with this new technology. But you have to change, and that's the way I'm going. I mean, I definitely took all my ads out of the phone book. It's like the phone book, no one picks it up. Yep. Everyone goes to their phone and does it, and they look you up.
Exactly.
So I'm in the phase of totally changing over. I mean, last year the phone book company wasn't happy with me. I said, I'm taking all those big ads out, and they weren't happy.
There was a woman who said, I didn't get my phone book, but when you looked at her, she was 60, 70, 80, around there, and you're like, oh, well, that's why there's no phone book. Yeah. So I get that part. It's a trend that's happening, and it's interesting to me to see how Pinterest has blown up.
Yeah.
And I've said this before on many shows, keep in mind that a lot of photos that are on Pinterest are actually staged photos, and they're staged for 7 to 8 hours before the photographer comes in and photographs them, so everything has been tweaked. If you have a venue that you have 5 hours, and you have 3 hours to set up ahead of time and 2 hours to break down, keep that in mind, to work within those parameters that, you have a 10-hour day, things like that take days to put together. So Pinterest sometimes it's a little bit... in my book, they don't tell you that, and I think that they should, that some of these photos are too staged for me. What is the most popular item that you rent at your place?
I would say tables and chairs.
Tables and chairs.
Yeah, I mean, a lot. They're always going out. I mean, business parties, regular parties, birthday parties, you're going to find that everyone's always going to need tables and chairs. And
I know that talking about birthday parties, you also have a line of those fun bounce zones,
yeah.
And because I've rented a couple for our daughter, and they're heavy, so don't pick them up. I know it saves you on the delivery, but trust me, have them deliver it because they're heavy. So, heavy. And you can never get them back in the bag. So I don't know how your guys do that, but
most of the time we're re-rolling them.
Wow.
It's tough. They're just so much weight to them, but they're fun. They go out a ton too. I mean, in the summer, they just go out every weekend for kids.
Cool. So a couple of things I want to close with by saying that these are beautiful. Go see them at the showroom. I've said a lot about different farm tables, but you really should come look at this one. I love the fact of how the base is set. I love the fact that they're easy. I love the stain that's on this table. You actually debuted this at the wedding show.
I did.
At the Holiday Inn by the Bay.
Yes, we did.
And so myself and actually Lori Andrews, who's been on the show, said we loved how the table was designed. And so it's really great. And I love the width of it. It almost feels bigger than other tables that I've seen. Maybe just the illusion of having all the chairs together. And I also kind of like the way the chairs are all mixed matched. So keep that in mind. I think that this is going to be a really happening item for you for next year. So maybe if you come on next year, you'll say that this is the most popular item to rent. So again, Shivari chairs, he's got them in white, he's got them in mahogany, he's going to have them in gold. He has garden chairs in both white and natural wood. You'll have how many of these?
25 of these were.
25 of the barn tables. So that's great.
200, I figure.
So that's 250 people right there, if 10 to a table.
Yep.
So you're set. He also has this great china, which is great for family style, which is becoming more trendy with the farm to table movement that's happening. So that's kind of cool.
And we're also getting that crossback chair, which is a farm chair that's kind of popular, that's growing right now.
So that's another chair, and I think you said to me earlier on before we went on air was that you were possibly having those in April.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
look forward. I'm actually looking forward to using that chair this year. We have a couple of clients that are really looking forward to seeing that chair. It's beautiful. It's just different. It's a different style. I'm excited because 8 years later, this is happening, and everybody is just getting more and more. I feel that we're no longer this little footnote up here, that we're playing with the big players now, and so I like that. So thank you for taking the time.
Okay.
You'll see all of Mark's stuff at the end of the show, how to reach him, email, address, phone number, all of that good stuff. As always, thanks for joining us on Maine Wedding Buzz. Mark, thanks for coming.
Okay, thank you.